everyone, welcome to Officially Empowered. I am Lady Bree, and if this is your very first time here, welcome to my channel. I truly hope that you like what you see and what you hear, and hopefully by the end of the video you go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you can get notified whenever I post new content. And for all of the family that is returning, all of the crew, let me just say welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. I am so glad that you guys are here. So today's video is going to be my top 5 things that I've learned in 2020. Now I know that we are all patiently waiting for 2020 to go ahead and move on by, but even in the midst of every single thing that we endured this year, I personally have still learned so much. I have grown in so many different areas in my life. I am definitely not going to throw shade at 2020 at all. It was a hard year, but guess what? We are almost done with it. We are almost out of here. So I wanted to just go ahead and share with you guys my top 5 things that I learned in 2020. So without further ado, let's get to it.
You're watching Lady Bree, and this is what you'll see. Empowerment for your life with a focus on G-O-D. It's really not about me, but for His glory. Thank you for tuning in, and I hope you like what you see. It's Lady Bree.
So one thing that I definitely learned in 2020 is to start. A lot of times I talk about things that I want to do, I write down things that I want to do, but I never actually started. And I think the reason why I'm so afraid to start things sometimes is because I feel that I'm not capable or I'm not worthy, or sometimes I get intimidated, and that's just me being completely honest. However, 2020 definitely taught me that sometimes you just have to start, and God would definitely go ahead and just take over it once you actually begin. Case in point, this YouTube channel, my family, my friends, they can attest. I have talked about starting a YouTube for years. I wanted to come on here and I wanted to minister to the people. I wanted to spread the word of God. I wanted to share my family. I've always wanted to do that, but I always felt, Bree, who is going to listen to you, girl? Nobody. Who are you? Like, that's what I used to think. But it was in that moment at the first part of quarantine, I had nothing but time. I had no excuse, honestly, and I had to just start it. I remember going inside of my office. There's no fancy lights. There's no fancy cameras. I didn't know who my audience was going to be. I propped my phone up on some books and I recorded my first video just telling people what to expect from the channel. And I started that in April of 2020. And just to see how far we've come from April to now December, I am completely excited. It's not even about the growth in numbers. It's for me to actually see myself being consistent every single month and putting out a video. It's me being consistent and saying, you know what? I want to go ahead and start this YouTube channel, so let me do it. And I see myself every single month actually doing it. So my advice to you guys is to stop talking about doing things and actually start. Because once you start, you never know where God is going to take that thing. I still don't know what God is going to do with the YouTube. However, it's the comments that I receive, it's the DMs that I get that lets me know that people are getting something from my channel. If I'm able to touch one person from a faith vlog, a lifestyle vlog, talking about marriage, me and my husband, then that means that I've done my job. But guess what? That would have never happened if I would have never started. So one thing that 2020 definitely has taught me is to stop talking about it and actually start. So if you're watching this video right now and you're thinking about starting YouTube, you're thinking about trying this new venture, but you're not sure how you're going to do, just start it. You don't have to have all the fancy items, the fancy merchandise. Just start, and I promise you, God is going to go ahead and take care of you if it is meant for you to do it in the first place. Another thing that I learned this year is about the importance of self-care. Now, if I'm being completely honest, I've listened to people preach to me about self-care. Bree, you gotta make sure you're taking care of yourself. And I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna take care of myself. And honestly, I will let it go in one ear and out the other. However, it was not until this year that I realized that self-care is so super important. I've always been the type of person where I stay busy. And the reason why I stay busy is because I always have felt like I needed to take care of everything, or I needed to be this superwoman. I gotta make it happen. And so a lot of times when I'm working and I'm being busy, I'm also trying not to think about things that are probably really bothering me on the inside. So I stay busy so I don't have to think about those things. Not saying that it's right, but that is definitely something that I do. However, I learned throughout this year that self-care is extremely important, and I think that 2020 has shown a lot of us how important it is for self-care. So for me as an educator, I usually never like to take days off, like ever. I would get to work extremely early. I would leave extremely late, and I just never wanted to take a day off. And I used to always tell myself, I'm gonna take a day off, but I never did it. And it wasn't until I absolutely had to take a day off because something was going on with me, something was going on with my family, that's when I actually took a day off. And that is absolutely horrible that I'm only taking a day off because there's an emergency that happens. But what about taking a day off just because you need to refill? As educators, we are always pouring out. I'm also a youth leader. My husband's the youth pastor. We're always pouring out. And so if we don't take that time to refill, because of course we all know we cannot pour from an empty cup. And a lot of times I don't take care of myself. I rather take care of other people. I want to make sure that everyone else is good. However, I learned this year that breathe, if you want to take a day off because you need to, take your day off, because guess what? Your work will be there tomorrow. The students will be okay. You're going to be fine. The building is not going to fall apart. You're going to be just fine, but take care of yourself. And I think in the midst of this quarantine, that's when it was really revealed to me that, hey, this is the time now. Take care of yourself. Do some things for breathe. Whether you want to read a book, read your Bible, just sit in silence. Do whatever you need to do to take care of yourself. Because for me, being a mom and a wife, if I'm not good, my husband not going to be good, my baby not going to be good. As an educator, if I'm not good, I'm not going to be giving my students the best instruction that they need to have. As a youth leader, if I'm not good, I can't really pour into the youth and the young adults like I want to because I'm empty. And so a lot of times, again, it's so important for us to make sure that we are taking those moments for self-care. You don't have to tell me now because I'm going to take a day. If I need to just take a day to relax and get myself together, then I'm going to do that. So if you're watching this video right now and you used to be like me where you don't like to take care of yourself, you're somebody who takes care of other people first, remember, you cannot pour from an empty cup. It is okay to make sure that you have a day to refill. So another thing that I learned in 2020 is the value of the word no. And I think a lot of times growing up, when we hear the word no, we always think of it as a negative word. But honestly, it's really not a negative word. It's actually a great word that we all need to have in our vocabulary. But speaking for me, I've always been the type of person, when you ask me something, yes, I want to do it. Yes, I can do it. Yes, the Lord is going to give me the strength, but yes, I can do it. Because I never want to seem like a bad person. I don't want to seem like I'm hurting anyone's feelings. I don't want to feel like, I'm selfish. So I just always said yes to everything. And I had to realize, especially within this year, it is okay to say no. No doesn't make you a bad person. No doesn't make you a selfish person. I actually think it's the complete opposite. Because when you begin to say yes to everything, that means that you're not giving a 100% to everything. And in my opinion, that can actually be something that is really selfish. Now, I used to go by the saying, the Lord is definitely not going to give me anything that I cannot handle. But I think a lot of times we put too much on our own selves. It's not the Lord's doing. That's us. We're just saying yes, 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 and yes. And it kind of makes me think about going to a buffet, right? So we're going to a buffet. Yes, it is all you can eat, but it does not mean that it's all you can eat your first time. Your first plate has every single thing from the buffet. It's not that. You can get a little bit on your plate, eat that, let it digest, and then go back and get some more food. But when we're constantly saying yes and we're putting all this extra stuff on our plate, that's what it makes me think about going to the buffet, putting all this food on the plate, and we can barely hold it up because it's just too much on the plate. It is okay to say no. No doesn't make you a bad person. No doesn't make you a selfish person. And I really had to learn that this year because I, again, never want to hurt anyone's feelings. I want to make sure that I'm always there. I like to take care of people. But again, what what those yeses were doing for me was draining me, because again, I'm trying to make it happen for you. Even in the midst of probably me having a busy schedule, I'm still trying to make it happen for you. And in the end, I'm still not giving something my 100% attention. So if you're watching this video, please, I'm literally still preaching to myself. It is okay to say no. You can do it. It's a 2-letter word. It's not a bad word. But again, you want to make sure that anything that you're going to give your attention to, anything that your name is attached to, is going to be something that is operating out of the spirit of excellence, and not just something I'm going to say yes to just because. And so that is something that 2020 has definitely taught me, is it is okay to say no. Another thing that I learned in 2020, this one was a very hard pill to swallow, is that everyone is not going to support your decisions or your moves at first. It may take them some time, and that's okay. I think a lot of times when we have these ideas and we have things that we want to do, and God has told us to do something, we want to also go and ask people. We want to ask friends. We want to ask family. We want to go ahead and just get their advice. And it is okay to seek godly and wise counsel. That is definitely what you want to do. But make sure that you are seeking godly and wise counsel, because some people are just going to be negative just to be negative. Some people are going to be negative because of their own experiences. Some people are actually going to really give you great advice and be there for you genuinely. However, I think a lot of times, and I'm a really, really big advocate of this, if God has given you the green light, then you don't need anybody else's approval. If He Himself, and you have your own personal relationship with God, if He has given you the green light, then you need to go ahead and move. If you want to go ahead and seek that godly and wise counsel so you can get some more confirmation, then do that. But listening to a whole bunch of other people, that's really not the best. And I had to learn that for myself. Everyone's not going to understand the decisions that you make. Everyone's not going to understand the moves that you make. And that is okay, especially when you know that you're operating out the will of God. I'm a firm believer that I'm not obedient to people. I'm obedient to God. That's who my allegiance is to. That is who I should be obeying. And so once we talk with other people and they kind of give us, yeah, I don't think you should do that. Why you want to do that? You don't have any money to do that. What's the point of that? Oh, you're going to look stupid. And then that kind of takes you from a positive place to a negative place. And then you no longer want to do what God has already told you to do. So I had to learn in 2020, it is okay if people don't understand what I'm doing. It is okay if they don't support what I'm doing at this moment. As long as I have the approval of God and I know that He told me to do something, then I'm going to go ahead and move. And then eventually, because I know that I'm operating out the will of God, eventually these other people, they're going to go ahead and come on board. But I just would hate for you to not to do something because other people are telling you no, even though God has already told you yes. You be obedient to God. So honestly, I can't go on and on and on, but I do not want this video to be too long. So the very last thing that I learned in 2020, and I actually already knew this, it just was confirmed even more throughout this year, is that God is never going to leave me nor forsake me. And I think a lot of times we hear that so much that it begins to kind of go in one ear and out the other, or maybe it begins to sound cliche. But for me, I literally live by that statement. He will never leave me nor forsake me. And I think it was even highlighted even more throughout this year. When I think about what we started in January 2020 to now in December 2020, and the fact that I'm sitting right here, that means that He kept me. And if you're watching this video, that means that He kept you too, which is something to be extremely grateful for. When I think about New Year's Eve last year and how we were all excited for 2020, perfect vision 2020, no one expected where our country was going to go. No one expected being quarantined and not being able to see some of your family members. Nobody expected our world to be shut down, okay, where you couldn't go anywhere. We didn't see any of that happen. But again, if you're still here, that means that God kept you. And so throughout this year, and I just think back to every little thing, I still, of course, have my health. My family, they have their health. My son, again, he hasn't coughed or sneezed or anything like that. Even with me being back inside the classroom, I'm still healthy. So I'm just forever grateful for God just continuing to be looking over me, always with me in every single part of my day. And so again, I could not leave this video without saying, which I think is the greatest one, is that God is never going to leave us nor forsake us. So that's definitely something I'm going to carry over with me into 2021. I don't know about you guys, but I am extremely excited. I know this year was a rough one, but I'm still thankful for everything that has happened, because everything that has happened throughout this year has only helped me to grow more as an individual, and I'm going to continue to grow as the years are going to continue to come. So I really hope that you guys have enjoyed today's video. If you have not done so already, be sure to go ahead and hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you can get notified whenever I post a new video. Be sure to give this video a big thumbs up, and I want you guys to leave me a comment down below. But here's what I want you to comment. I want you to tell me one thing that you've learned in 2020. Let's have some conversation. Hopefully it's actually going to also inspire some people as well. So go ahead and leave me a comment down below and let me know what you have learned in 2020. Just give me one thing. But as always, guys, I appreciate you more than you will ever know. And so until the next video, you guys be blessed. Bye.